Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to the start of our Diablo 3 live stream open beta celebration. I am joined by the one and only Jaded. Hello, sir.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Good. I need to let everyone know that I thought I opened up, but my microphone was muted, so I was talking to myself for a couple of seconds there. Go figure. But yes, we are here with the open beta celebration. I started you guys off with some lovely, soothing Diablo 3 music. I actually really like the music in this game. I've heard some complaints, but I'm quite enjoying it so far. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah, no complaints here, for sure. Like, a lot of people are like, we want the old, memorable music, but I like that they kind of went a different route with it, you know?
Yeah, I am certainly quite content with it. So let me explain to you guys what we are going to be doing here. You may be wondering, Forrest, I've just listened to some stupid music for about 5 minutes and now you're just chatting. Well, we're going to be playing the Diablo 3 beta in anticipation of the upcoming open beta that Blizzard just announced at like 12 last night, and I was infuriated. I'll tell you exactly why. They let us know ahead of time, people like on the fan site list and everything like that, about 3 in the afternoon my time, that this was going to be happening. I literally was spamming F5 for 7+ hours waiting for the announcement to go through so that I could post it my video, and it was just, that was awful. It was really awful. And it ended up going up at like 1 a.m. my time, East Coast. And so, you know, I was getting ready to try to go to bed, and then the thing went up, so I had to go, it was terrible. But anyways, the exciting news is that the open beta is here. I really wasn't certain that they were going to do this, but it's happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that they went ahead and did this, because they didn't have to do this by any means, you know? Like, so all those people who didn't get in, didn't get lucky, at least get a chance to see what the game's all about.
Yeah, and we'll be taking a quick look at it here before the servers officially go live. We'll also be talking a little bit about Diablo. I know that there are some of you who have just found out about the open beta and don't really have much experience with the game, with the franchise, and for those people, I think this will be a good video. But also for people who have been following the game, we'll be going into some in-depth discussion. So Jaded and I will be playing a co-op run. I haven't even decided. I almost by default go for the Barb, but I think I'm going to go with something else. Now, are you playing the Wizard this time?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a wizard. Still need to make a video on that, so figured kill 2 birds with 1 stone and level a wizard.
That sounds good. I'll go with the monk. I enjoy the monk. It's an exciting class. Now, this is probably the 17 millionth time I've played through the beta. And in the past, people would hate me for saying that, but I think since the beta's opening up this weekend, maybe there's a bit less anger behind that. All right, so as soon as Jaded has his character ready, we'll hop in party, and then we'll be hopping in the game. And once again, we're going to use this as a general overview to Diablo 3. Also, just a bit of entertainment, as much as possible. We'll see how entertaining I feel today.
I'm ready whenever you are.
I can't seem to invite you here.
Is it because of the busy? Let me switch it.
Oh, there, that might do it. All right, so I just started a game. I think you can probably hop into it anyways. There should be that option there. Open to public. You don't see it, do you?
No. You're set to busy as well. That might actually block it.
The lovely technical difficulties of a live stream. It's kind of how it works. All right, let's try that one more time. I will invite you to party. And then we will start. All right. Naked Force and Naked Jaded begin our epic adventure.
Joined my party. My foes gain strength, smell fear and death.
So as you noticed right there, in a group, in a party, difficulty is increased. Although this is one thing I'd like to chat with you about quickly, Jaded. There's no damage increase. How stupid is that?
What do you mean?
When you join, when it's a group, it's only monsters get buffed by their HP. They don't take more damage. I mean, they don't do more damage.
Really? Yeah. I actually didn't know that was the case.
Yeah, I was informed. I wasn't certain, and then I was informed by like several reliable sources that is in fact the case. And I think it's stupid, to be honest.
If that is the case, I think that maybe it changes at higher difficulty? I don't know. That seems wrong to me.
Yeah.
To skip a game like that.
I think that what people were saying was the idea is that if it was specifically multiplied every time a new party member joined, that people would just be getting one shot like crazy in the higher difficulties.
I remember something about that now.
So I'm assuming that that's the reason why they wouldn't be doing it. All right, so let's start things off and pretend that if you're watching this, you just found out about the open beta, and you don't have a ton of experience with Diablo, the franchise, or any of the prior games either. So this is an action RPG, hack and slash adventure. A lot of fun. It's all about the loot lust. Randomization is a big part of the game. Probably the biggest part of the game, and that's not only attributed to the level layout, although there's a lot more structure in this than I feel like there was in Diablo 2. I don't know if you want to argue that, but at least I personally feel there's more structured areas when it comes to the layout.
Like the questing and whatnot?
Yeah, and the set, like the towns, and I mean even the major paths here.
For sure.
I think they said it's going to open up more as we progress later on past Act 1, and even in the later portions of Act 1. So I guess that's a good thing. But anyways, yeah, it's a hack and slash action RPG where you run around and randomize dungeons and you find randomized gear, and that's the basis of the game, really. Now, the thing that kind of keeps people coming back to a game like this is not only the loot lust, but the gameplay is exceedingly fun. I mean, just absolutely.
It's also just really accessible for like a role-playing game. At least back in the day, a lot of role-playing games weren't very accessible.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Diablo was just like you're in and it's. Yeah, you're in and you're learning like super fast how to do everything.
I guess like following with the times, I know you said back in the day RPGs weren't so accessible in general, and I think overall they have become more accessible than they used to be, and Diablo has followed suit by being more accessible than it used to be. I mean, the kind of the slimming down of the skill tree system, that's a huge major change. There's no longer skill tree. You just have the skills that you slot in a set number of spaces, and that's it. There's no specking up or anything along those lines. So even that, and then just the quick join options, hopping in with your friends immediately. The new in-town banner, I mean, that's another thing. It's like hop in, go immediately to where your friend is.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the past you had town portals where you could bring your friends to where you are immediately too, but even this is a bit easier because it requires no thought.
You don't have to ask.
Like, exactly.
Before you'd be like TB, 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 and people would have to actually take their time to open one. So
yeah. So before we go into any detail, I guess it'd be cool to just talk about like, hey, what do you enjoy about Diablo 3, Jada, or just what do you enjoy about Diablo in general?
It's like one of the few action RPGs like that are just done really well. Yeah, I mean, like there's a ton of great RPGs, but none that like get the visceral combat of Diablo games and like the tactile feel of all the skills. That's probably my favorite part with the game.
That's my favorite part of all Blizzard games, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
they seem to have that polish and that, like you said, the tactile feel. Like things are super responsive where they aren't really so much in a lot of other games that I play. You know, you'll hop into a game and you'll like it, you want your character to do one thing, but they're not really responding the way you think they should in a lot of games. Were you chiming in with something there?
Yeah, I was just saying controls are king with Blizzard. Like that's the number one thing I've noticed they always try to nail, regardless of everything else.
Absolutely, I absolutely have to agree with that. I wouldn't. My mind is I don't know. I mean, that's a favorite aspect of mine. Like I said, of Blizzard games in general. But when it comes to Diablo itself, I think the thing for me, at least, like my memories of the game, I just remember being so addicted to it. And when I was a kid, I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was that had me constantly playing Diablo 2.
That's true, yeah.
But now that I'm older, it's definitely like the loot lust that they create and the randomization of the game. And we can talk about that for a moment, I think maybe once we get a little bit deeper in and we've uncovered some of the maps so that we can show you. What's going to happen in the game is that you have got your big for like outdoor areas like where we're discovering now, the borders of them are relatively static, and the main path is relatively static. There are pockets of randomized possible events and randomized areas, and the monsters that spawn in these various areas will all be randomized. So like looking back on Diablo 2, you know, every time I entered the zone, I didn't necessarily know. In a lot of games, you've got the set enemy locations. But in Diablo, you never knew what you were going to come up against. Was it going to be a pack of super elite monsters with all these crazy enhancements on them? Or was it just going to be, you know, a quill fiend? You know? And I think that in conjunction with the randomized loot and the kind of loot lust that it creates, you never know, you know, the next stump you hit could drop a Stone of Jordan or something. And just not knowing that, I think those are the biggest things that always kept me constantly wanting to play.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's actually probably my favorite thing about the game, is just how random everything is and how they nail that aspect of the game. It's like, no two playthroughs are ever the same, you know, and just the gear being random rather than, like in WoW, you would work, like in PvP, for example, you would work to a certain point and then you'd have all the gear, you know, in the game. Right. But for Diablo, not so much the case. There's always different items to try, different builds and whatnot. So that's definitely one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the build situation will be a little bit different in this game, simply because it's so easy to switch skills. Although they have at the higher end, once we reach Inferno, they have incentivized us keeping our skills. Whoa, try to get this fool. There we go. Ooh, an adventuring hand axe. And this is a great opportunity to talk about loot. I think people watching the stream might be like, Force, you're a loot whore, you're picking up everything. Loot is individual. So anything that drops from me, Jaded doesn't see. He's not aware that it dropped. He has no idea. But if I were to take something from my inventory and then just throw it on the ground, he can then see that and pick it up. That's an interesting change that they decided to make, and I like it for the fact that we won't be competitive to pick up gear with our group. Because when you're grouping with people, I think the general idea is like, wow, you should be, you know, grouping with them because you want to play with them, not because you want to steal all the gear that drops before they manage to pick it up, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the like little things in the game. It's not so little, but because it is a big part of the game, but it's one of the little things that Blizzard just like tweaked about Diablo that just really helps the game shine and feel streamlined. Such as stamina. There's no more stamina.
Oh, God,
it's probably the best.
That's terrible.
It's probably the best.
You have to carry 1,000 potions in your sash just to...
Yeah, and then you got like to a point where stamina didn't even matter because you were so high level. And it's like, why is this even in the game?
Why, right, why does it... What's the point? So it's a hindrance early on, and later on it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly.
I'm told he was a great warrior who was lost when Tristram fell to the demons.
Now we have to go kill Captain Dalton, who got a change in the most recent patch, and I thought that was pretty cool. It was out of nowhere too.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be, especially in the later difficulties, it'll actually be like, oh, this is now challenging.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually difficult. So let me think. We touched on stamina. We touched on how loot is now individualized. Any other major changes we want to bring up between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3?
The fact that it's 3D and there's like cool physics stuff, I guess.
No more 2D sprites.
Here's the key.
I actually really love the physics in this game. It just like, it really brings the game to life. That everything, like almost everything, is destructible or like flies around.
Yeah.
Even if it's just collateral damage. Except that thing that you tried to break.
It's just we got this. Like I can break that bench, or the desk. That was a fail at trying to example what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But no, there's the destructible environment. They definitely have added a lot to that, and you know that's no small feat. That's a lot of programming time and implementation to have almost a fully destructible environment. I mean, like lampposts and things like that are destructible. Once we go to the open area, we'll be able to see, you know, there's a light on a lamppost and you can just knock that over, the light goes flying.
It's a lot of artwork too, like looking at some of the videos they've released recently and seeing like the higher level stuff, like there's different destructible environments per like act and whatnot, so.
I just picked up Blinding Flash, which is a nice AoE incapacit. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Really impressed with Blinding Flash. It used to not have a cooldown, and it was just stupid then. Like, that was...
There was a lot of things on the Monk that didn't have restrictions early on, and I thought the class was going to be, like, so overpowered, but then they quickly limited a bunch of stuff.
That could have been really, really bad.
Like, the heal that you get later was spammable. He, like, never died.
Right, right. Oh, here's something pretty cool I'd like to show people. Let's clear this pack, and then let's go back to where the Fallen Star area was. I want to show people gear pieces. Now, gear, the way it's going to work is, depending on the character that wears it, it'll look differently. So you can see right here, my low-quality cloth tunic, and I will, on me, it's a long yellow robe, and I'll drop it, and I'll throw it on the ground for Jaded to pick up, and then he'll put it on. See how that looks on him.
It looks exactly the same
well,
as what I was wearing.
Well, so I guess just take off. Take
I'll
off.
show you,
Okay,
like...
so yeah. So without, and then that's without, and then he'll put on the low quality cloth tunic. So that's how it looks on the wizard, and then he'll drop it, and I'll put it back on, and you'll see that's how it looks on me. So gear, depending on who's wearing it, it'll look differently. I think that's amazing that they did that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen, I've published a few videos, there's been screenshots, there was also 3D renderings of the different gear tiers. Those went up, I think last week or something, like Diablo fans posted them and a couple other sites. But what happens is those are visual tiers that it makes it so that, like, as you progress through the different tiers of gear, you know, in the past we had, you know, you had like the leather gear and the quilted gear and stuff like that. It's sort of that same system, except there's a lot more of it. And again, depending on what character wears it, it'll look differently. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I love that they actually went in and did the 2D art as well. So like that item doesn't look the same in my inventory as it does in yours. Like that's just so cool to me that they went and did that.
It's the attention to detail, and you know, that's something too that I was really excited about with like the runestone system. That's so cool, and that's gone through some huge changes. Like rune stones don't exist anymore. Now we can just rune our skills, which it's funny because I almost feel like they shouldn't even call them runes anymore, because it's like just a branching skill tree. It's basically what it is.
Yeah.
It feels weird to still call them runes because there's no physical item attributed to it, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, besides arguing semantics, the fact that they took this idea of, okay, you've got these spells, but you can change these spells visually and the way they function. When I first heard that, I was like, that's the coolest thing anywhere. It's a black mushroom, which is still pointless to me. I'm assuming that'll come in story-wise at some point later.
Yeah, I've seen those all over, actually. That's weird that we found one here, because last time I saw one outside. So I have no idea what those are going to be for.
I have to assume that it's going to be something story-driven.
They're really rare, too, to find them in the beta.
Yeah.
At least they have been.
Right. It could be one. It could be something too that you'll eventually like turn into a vendor for some sort of, you know, maybe for a gold reward or for potions or something. That'd be cool. That's a cool idea. Turn it into for potions or something. Maybe it's Mystic. Maybe it's for the Mystic, which isn't gonna
that could be true.
Which isn't going to be in the game. It's all an expansion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately enough. But at least we have the jeweler, right?
Yeah, I think the blacksmith alone is going to keep us pretty busy for a while.
Right.
It's pretty expensive, even at this level.
And I guess that'll bring us right into discussion of artisans. Artisans are, in Diablo 3, specialized vendors. So the blacksmith will be making pretty much what you expect. The blacksmith will be making weapons and armor, and you unlock recipes by leveling up the blacksmith, which you pay for. And yeah, as Jade had said, it's quite expensive. They've been tuning the pricing, but it seems it's been getting progressively more expensive as time goes on.
Yeah, I've noticed that everything's like
Costing more,
patch,
like costing
a little bit
more.
more.
What the heck? Those things called costing more materials and costing more gold, and the leveling's more expensive, and to buy tabs in your shared stash is more expensive. Which we have a shared stash now.
They removed one part of leveling them, which was the pages. Do you know if that's like finalized?
That is just for normal difficulty. So
okay.
Pages will be returning. Ah, here we go. Stupid treasure goblin.
I love, by the way, the change to these. They're so much easier to kill now. They used to run away and be so tedious to kill. But...
Right. Now I remember hearing something. Here's the next area. Back onto to rescue Cain. I remember hearing something about the portals that we see them summon. Like if you let the treasure goblin run and run and run and run, he will eventually summon a portal. And if you don't kill him before that happens, he'll jump through the portal. I remember at one point, I don't know if this is just lore or if this will actually be a mechanic in the game, but I remember at one point hearing that that portal leads to like his master's special area, like a special zone or a special dungeon. I really hope that that's like a physical mechanic, so that if you let the treasure goblin summon that portal, you can go through into this like super awesome dungeon where you can get a ton of loot.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
That'd be awesome. I think it was just the greed, or not gluttony. I think it was the greed demon monster dude. I just picked up. Oh my god, I got a ton of stuff here. Increased attack speed. I'll take it.
It is wonderful to hear that Leah is well. I feared the worst.
All sorts of stuff.
I learned of this.
Better sash.
It'd be cool too if it was like you could only go into that portal if you had like the scoundrel follower or something, or like some weird, skill or item in the game.
That would be quite awesome.
Uncle.
I gotta sell a bunch of stuff here.
Got a right good bunch of things for you.
Merchant gear. So we'll look like right here. You can see he's selling this, that, and that. This is all supposed to level kind of with you. And what I mean by that is as you level, the gear available from merchants, the exact quote for this is that the gear available from merchants is supposed to be one level below your current monster level. So wherever you currently are, the monsters that you're currently engaging as you progress through the game and as you level up, the gear available from the vendors will just be one level below that. I'm going to take these. I'm going to buy these 2 daggers. So yeah, you go to these vendors and you'll increasingly have better access to better gear as you level up, which is really awesome. Here's a healer, which is completely pointless.
And then there's actually another vendor farther up that sells rings that we should probably check out.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those because that's pretty recent as well. So right here in New Tristram, there are just 3 vendors, and this guy's gonna sell.
I never use that guy.
No, he's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Radik the Fence down here, or Radik, however we need to pronounce it, he sells rings now. And this, like the 2 to 4 damage one right here. And
these are too high level, but yeah, you can save them.
They're good though. 2 to 4 damage is the best. Any
What's your second stat?
Plus experience, which is meh.
Yeah,
I guess that's good for leveling, but let me take a look here quickly. I'm actually going to switch up to Tempest Rush and Deadly Reach.
I'll change it up too then.
Now I'm pretty dead set on my starting class, but I will be playing the Barbarian. That's going to be my main. But I have to say, every one of these classes is pretty thoroughly enjoyable. I think the one that I least enjoyed at first was the Demon Hunter, but I definitely came around to the class. as they made tweaks, especially the resource system change that they made. It used to be so shitty, and now it's much better with hatred generators and stuff.
I'm the exact same way with that class. Like early on, it was just unfinished, and a lot of people didn't like it, but it's really come around a lot.
Yeah. Yep, some good changes, no question about that. Tempest Rush is so awesome looking. It's gonna be really good in PvE, I think, for getting yourself into tight situations because it busts right through everything. I can't imagine it being that useful at all in PvP, to be honest. But
yeah,
you'd have to be
Probably not.
facing idiots who are all clumped up and they stay clumped up while you're Tempest Rushing. Like,
it just doesn't do much damage, but like I guess if the knockback works in PvP, I'm sure they'll like balance that somehow.
I wonder if it breaks CC. It doesn't say
channels
it does.
And
I wish we could duel. That's another thing that peeves me. I have no idea why they do not allow dueling. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I think it's
How could that negatively impact anything? Like,
yeah.
if friends want to duel each other, they should be able to in the game. I don't understand. Kind of makes me angry that they like it just seems like such an obvious thing to include, the fact that
It's
they would.
true. Didn't like World of Warcraft, even like when it got released, had dueling?
I believe so. Yeah, that was so long ago. It's hard to remember.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I remember. Like, I mean, I played the game like the second the servers launched, and there were people like they'd be like 2 levels ahead of you, and they'd be like, "I want to duel you because I'm so cool." I just remember that occurring.
I do remember that. Yeah.
My strides
Yeah,
grow
level
longer.
6, which means we can get those rings. I don't know if I want to blow gold on that though. Jeez. Also picked up Thunderclap for Fist of Thunder. So this will show you guys the rune system here. So I've got my basic skill. I'll just let Jaded take that guy. Oh, it's a special guy. I'll explain this after. Let's get these fools. They do. That's another thing too that I find interesting, that these high level monsters are affected by CC. Although it's a reduced duration from what I understand. So.
Even the Skeleton King gets affected.
Right,
by
yeah,
a
you
lot
can
of
stun
stuff.
him. That's baffling to me. I didn't think that would be okay. All right, so just quickly, I'll show people here, again, if you're new to the game, the runestone system. So I've got my basic attack here, Fist of Thunder. It does 110% weapon damage. It's got the little thunder AoE thing on the 3rd attack. Now, all these runes will be unlocked, and this is why I kind of refer to it as like a branching skill tree. Because you unlock these things while you level up. So you've got your base skill, and then you have skills underneath it, which we're calling skill runes. And then as you level up, you unlock these. And each skill rune has a different attribute to it. It's going to change your basic spell. So like Fist of Thunder, it's the basic attack. And then with Thunderclap, it allows me to teleport to the target and release an electronic shockwave. So on the first attack, it's just the first attack, right? Didn't you do a monk video not too long ago?
Are you talking about the teleport?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only the first attack.
Right. And this is actually a pretty recent change. I haven't played the monk since they made that change.
And you can also, like, later, I don't know if this is a good time to say it, but like later you get more spirit generators, and you can actually weave in the skills. So like they're a 3-hit combo,
yeah,
which you can actually do the first part of one and then 2 of another, or like, and they all play off each other. So it's really a nice mechanic there for monks to get good at.
It's pretty interesting, and I think Thunderclap will be a really popular opener. I think especially for PvP. That's almost seems like a no-brainer. For closing gaps, because people are going to want to stay away from you. But like Fist of Thunder opener, and then you switch to maybe a harder hitting attack for the 2nd and 3rd round, you know. And what he was explaining was these primary attacks here, Fist of Thunder, Deadly Reach, Crippling Wave, and Wave 100 Fist, they all have 3 stages. So the first attack is stage 1, and then successively with the 2nd and 3rd attack, they're stage 2 and 3. And what it's typically the case is that like the first attack will have a set thing, and then the 3rd attack, but that actually that's not necessarily true. That changes. But yeah, there are 3 stages, and the stages can have different varying effects. That's how it works. But yeah, so I've got this Fist of Thunder. I'm gonna use the skill rune for it, and there's also these additional runes that you can unlock as you level up, and all skills have this. All skills have these branching runes underneath them. I like the new Thunderclap rune though. That's really awesome.
I find it kind of jarring. Like, there's no animation to it. So when I was first using it, I actually thought I was lagging. I was like, what is this? Like, no joke. I thought I was lagging.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm retarded. But there's no animation to tell you, like, what's happening. So it is a little jarring for some users.
Not like because I know that dashing strike has like a trail to it. And is it coins flying out of his pocket, or what is that? That's what I think every time I see it.
Out of what?
When you do dashing strike, there's like a little like coin sound and like these little fragments that fly out of a trail behind you. I feel like
Really?
to me it looks like
noticed.
gold's falling out of his pocket or something. I know that's not what it's supposed to be, but yeah, I think it might be leaps or something like that. I don't know. There's some weird animation associated with it. The skill rune system is pretty awesome though, and the one really cool thing is that it will create, you know, uniqueness between the characters and the builds. And I know people can say, well, what does that matter? You know, you can switch your build whenever, but with the addition of the Nephilim Valor system, which is an Inferno, Inferno's the 4th difficulty in the game. Nephilim Valor makes it so that you get, whenever you kill a rare and champion pack, you get increased magic and gold find, which is really huge. You get a better chance to find magical items and a better chance to get, or you'll get more gold from monster drops. And whenever you switch a skill, as just one example, whenever you switch a skill or a skill rune or a passive, then that kind of drops that buff. So in the later stages, when it comes to like gear hunting, once we're level 60 and we're just looking to grind gear, they're making it so that you do want to stick with one build, at least per playthrough. But I think the thing is that they definitely want to have people experiment while they level up. And that's something that really doesn't happen when you are playing with a traditional skill tree system in most RPGs. Like, a lot of times you'll just stick to this one thing and you won't deviate because you want to be as best as you can be. You know, you want to excel at this one thing rather than being like a crappy hybrid, you know. That's the reason I think that I'm okay with the lack of a skill tree, because I like the idea of being able to try things that I want and not feel like I'm gimping myself because I want to try this skill that doesn't kind of coincide with the rest of my build, you know?
This system definitely leads towards experimentation early and then figuring out what you like and then sticking to it in the later levels.
Yeah.
Which is really, really refreshing for an RPG, like you were talking about. A lot of times they'll punish you or charge you for experimenting with the skills, but here it's pretty much free open. In the normal difficulty, you can switch around really easy.
Right. And like that's not, and it's not even like a direct punishment, but just the fact that if you try to try different things, then you're not being optimal. I guess let me just give an example. Let's think about like a standard RPG. I've got a ranged class. Like in a standard RPG, a ranged class is going to have a skill tree, and there's going to be a whole system of speccing where, let's say, you can spec into bows or crossbows. Well, if I've got this attack that's like crossbow only, but it sounds really cool, like say there's this crazy like AoE attack with crossbows, but I've been spending all my points in regular bows, then it'd be stupid of me to try to use that ability, to try to spend a talent point on that ability. But here, I mean, there's no direct equivalent to that because there's no like crossbow specialization in this game. But if you're like, if there were, and if you were geared towards one thing, but you had this really awesome crossbow attack, but you've been spec'd into bows, then you wouldn't try it. You just have to wait till you build another character, you know, and that kind of stinks. I guess it's not the best situation for trying out new things. So I'm okay with it. And you know, like you said, Jaded, they're going to incentivize later on finding that build and sticking with it, once again, at least per run that you do, so that you don't lose your Nephilim Valor buff. These noobs. I love Arcane Orb. It's so good.
It's pretty resource intense. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think you can spam like 2 or maybe 3, and then you're out.
Yeah, it's like 3. At least this early on, it's pretty harsh.
Yeah. He gets
Yeah, you might be right. It is too.
not yet begun.
Ah! Ran through it before picking up my leather doublet. Monster experience. Got some of that there. Holding on to all of my magic items as well, so we can take a look at crafting later on via the blacksmith. So we are but a few hours away from the open beta. I don't even know what time it is right now. Oh, upper right-hand corner. It's 12:58. So I think the beta opens, what's it, 12 Pacific, which is going to be in 2 hours. Which is actually also when the Diablo podcast will be starting.
Yeah, and if you're having problems, I noticed there was a lot of people having issues with the installer for some reason. There was a thread on Reddit where I don't know, maybe you could show that or something, but if you just go to r/Diablo, there's a thread on there that will help anyone who's having issues with that. There's like a few, there's like a directory or something you can delete that's causing this issue. I don't know exactly. There's a bunch of issues with it though.
All right, let me we'll go to town and then I'll hop back to show people that really quickly. Yes, and we just picked up our infinite use town portal.
Yeah, so nice.
Indeed. All right, let me hop out really quick here to show peeps the Reddit thread there. Okay.
It was beta downloader problems. There's only a few comments on it, but
let me see here. Beta downloader problems. There it is. All right, guys. So if you, let me pull this up here for people to view. If you head on over to reddit.com/r/Diablo, just a few posts down, you will see beta downloader problems, and this should give some people some assistance. Using Windows 7, client, nothing. I tried restarting. Okay, so he said there's a fix in the comments.
Yeah, if you're having problems like actually loading the launcher, there's
Open
one guy there that
Task
says,
Manager.
that one.
Yeah.
Open Task Manager and stop that, blah, blah, blah. And then there's another one to increase your download speed if you're having issues with that.
Open up some ports and all that. Wonderful jazz. So yes, if you are having trouble downloading the installer, you're going to be available again in just a few hours. So hopefully you'll be able to get this up and running ahead of time, so you can get playing. Either way, though, people have all weekend, which is awesome. And I also mentioned this too. I made just an announcement video yesterday about the fact that the beta was going open, and oh, I completely forgot my point. Oh, okay. I said that this weekend is more than enough time to play through the beta, and I know people will be like, "Oh, that's stupid! I'll play forever, non-stop." But it's only about an hour's worth of content. We're kind of meandering about and taking our time here, but it really is only about an hour's worth of content. So a full weekend, you'll get to play through pretty much everything you want to, and you'll see everything. No question about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, if you're planning on leveling like every class to max level, it'll take a while. It takes about 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, it's about 2 or 3 playthroughs basically. So yeah, that's it.
That's what I noticed. So that might take a little while, and a weekend, like if you have stuff to do, it'll get in the way.
I'm pretty sure most people have canceled their plans this weekend.
For sure.
All right, so I'm back at the vendor, and you guys are going to see here that the available items are different. You'll have noticed before that I specifically bought these daggers from this guy, and they had 2 to 3 holy damage in the past, and you can see there's a 1% of damage dealt converted to life. Now it's the same DPS, but there's 1.10% of damage converted to life. And as we progress, these things will change. And I'm pretty sure that these other weapons available are different too. And actually, I'd like to go take a look at the rings, because I want to see if he's offering different rings. I know we talked about this in the last podcast, Jaded. We weren't sure how the rings were resetting, and you guys mentioned leaving town. I tried leaving town and coming back, and they weren't resetting, but when I logged out and came back, they did. Now let's see if these are any different here.
With some unsavory types,
This
Mine are
different.
Mine are different.
Yeah. Okay. So, so I guess they do reset when they left town. Last time I was just going past the bridge here and coming back. Maybe I wasn't far enough away from town or something.
Maybe it's a timer too. Like the longer you're out, there's a timer where it resets them. Because I went over to the cellar like right next to this place and then came back and they didn't change.
Yeah. So it must be something like that, or maybe you just can't be like in the abutting areas.
Yeah, it might have a range type of deal.
But yeah, you can see here that these rings are different than what I looked at prior. So if a vendor, if you're looking to buy something, you can either log out, or if you don't care to get that ring immediately, just go back, do some questing, some grinding, and then when you come back, you'll have a different set of items available to you, and maybe it's something that'll be better for you. I would like to take a look at crafting, if you don't mind joining me and chatting about it for a moment. So the crafting system is really cool, and yeah, it's really cool. It's a huge gold sink though, as we were talking about prior.
Absolutely.
All right, so
it's also the place where you salvage.
Right. So a little 2-in-1 here. So just quickly through the tabs, there's the Forge Weapon tab, the Forge Armor tab, the Salvage tab, and then the Train tab. So training, you'll notice here I don't have a ton of gold right now, so I'm not going to spend the 2,000 to level him up. But if I were to train him right now, what would happen is he'd acquire a bit of experience. I think it's a 5th. Is it 5 trains per level? I think that's what it is.
I believe so, yeah.
So if I were to hit train, he would go, a 5th of that bar would fill up. And I would acquire these 2 items, Apprentice Leather Cuffs and Apprentice Hide breeches. So I would then be able to craft those 2 items. And every time you train, there's a larger list of items that you unlock. You eventually start unlocking like legendary items, and you can do that even here in the beta. Although those items are locked, they're level restricted. So they're, the max level in the beta is 13, so you can't actually use them. But if I were to train here, I would then be able to craft these 2 items. And here are the items that I can craft, and they're not costing. I guess I can craft a few of them because I just want to show people the randomization. So I'm going to salvage what I have here. And salvaging these items will give me some subtle essence and also some common... Oh, I got a fallen tooth. Beautiful.
Which you can't actually use in the beta, unfortunately.
Right. So I have these subtle essence now from breaking down those magical items. And let me go and... Let me see if there's anything that I could actually use. I guess the chest piece could actually be beneficial. And it's pretty cheap, too. The weapons are pretty expensive. 600 to 700 range, and the armor is much cheaper. So let me do that then. I'm going to craft a couple of the Apprentice Leather doublets. And actually, do you want to do like 1 or 2 as well?
I can give you my subtle essence.
Okay, that'll work.
So they can see it. Yeah. It's better that way.
Yeah, I just want to show people the randomization that will occur with the gear. So what's going to happen here is you take a look at like some of these items will have, this one, the chest piece has 2 random magical properties. Some items will have set properties and then magical 2 random properties on top of them. So every chest piece that I craft is going to be different. A dice is rolled, and actually I probably don't even need that. I don't think I can even afford to craft these many. I'll be able to give you your subtle essence back. All right, so we're just gonna craft a few of these. And I don't even. Oh wow, never mind. It was 5 subtle lessons apiece. Didn't realize. There's your 2 back. All right, so these are the 3 that I was able to craft based on the number of subtle lessons that we had together. So you'll notice that each of these, the attached magical attributes are different. Actually, okay, so even that's different. So one of them I got +2 dexterity and 1 regen life per second. One of them is +1 vitality and regenerate 1 life per second. The other one is +1 vitality and monster kills grant 3 experience. Do you want any particular one of those? I'm going to take the dexterity chest piece.
It doesn't matter to me.
Let me get life for gen and vitality. There you go. And we can also trade. I know people have asked me about the trade menu. So let me trade you a black mushroom. Oh, let me do it this way, I guess. Are you busy?
No. Does it say I'm busy?
Are you talking to the blacksmith? Try that again. There we go. All right, so here's the trade menu. and I cannot trade the black mushroom, so I will just give you the chess piece.
Unfortunate.
All right, so you can, it's just a basic, you know, it's pretty much what you expect, and you can give someone a piece of gold if you want to. And I got 9 gold in that transaction. So yeah, that's the trade menu. And that's basically it. I mean, that's how it's going to work. Now, as we progress through the game, there will be better and better recipes while you level up. As far as I'm aware, there are also recipes that drop within the world. They used to be in the beta, but then they were removed. They also removed the pages of training, which in the future will be required to level up the blacksmith. Right now, it just requires gold. Unless they change that. I mean, things have been in flux so much throughout the course of the beta, sometimes it's hard to keep track of kind of where we are currently. Something else that's pretty neat too is if, you know, I have these chess pieces that I made, crafted, and if they're not to my liking, I can either sell them or I can resalvage them and get back not all of the subtle lessons that you acquired, but get back some of it. I actually even picked up another fallen tooth. Would you look at that?
You can also go to the auction house, which you should show later.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look at that.
Another thing with crafting too, which is why Diablo is so awesome, is not only are you dice rolling on every item, but you're dice rolling the dice roll. So if you get 7 strength, that might not be the max strength you can get on that item, and so the item's not going to be worth as much as like a perfect 17 strength or intelligence on gloves is what you can get currently. So that stuff has different value as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he's right. Besides the random attributes that you see listed here, there can be that addition, and it's neat because I remember they've changed it since, but it used to be that the best barbarian one-handed weapons came from crafting. They bumped up the minimum level requirements, so you can't use it anymore. But by default, the weapon had I think it was 17 DPS. But if you rolled the right attributes, you got up to 28 or 30 DPS. It was crazy. It was a really, really big bump. And that's, you'd get random attributes that added plus poison damage or plus holy damage or plus cold damage, and that help bumps up the DPS as well. So you can get some significantly better items than what you will get generally based on that dice roll, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
There's also a visual increase here. You'll notice the little blacksmith area. If I were, which again I can't do now, I can't afford to train him up all the way, but if I were to train him up all the way and he got past the artisan level, visually this little caravan area would be improved. Things would be a little shinier, there'd be a little more to it, until eventually you've got this big grandiose area for your specific artisan. And that is also going to be the case for the jeweler, but we don't have access to him yet. No, I'm sorry, is it it's the mystic that's still in there and the jeweler was removed?
You're calling me out on something I actually don't remember the names exactly. I think it's the jewelers in the game still, because there are still gems.
Right.
So
I do believe that's what it was. I'm pretty.
I could be wrong, and people could be furious.
I'm sure they will be regardless, but I'm pretty sure it was the mystic that was removed. If I'm wrong, well, someone will rage in the comments below, and you will then be informed. So what difference does it make? You found out either way.
Exactly.
All right, let's head to the Cathedral Garden. Breakable environments.
I love the all the cloth in the game that flows around your skills. You'll just be next to a flag on the wall using an ability, and it sort of flutters in the wind.
Right.
That's one of the cool parts of the physics.
Look, I just broke a candlestick, and it got darker subsequently. Now, let me ask you this: are you one to? Actually, I need to switch this up because I just picked up a rune for Lashing Tail Kick. So Lashing Tail Kick normally does 200 weapon damage and knocks people back. With the Vulture Claw Kick, release a torrent of fire that burns nearby enemies for 220% weapon damage as fire, and also causes knockback. Now, are you one of those people to break every barrel and unturn every stone?
Yes, I do have a little bit of OCD there, but a lot of times in the beta, it's not worth your time. But I'm sure in the real game, I'll be doing that.
Well, I think especially in the later difficulties, it'll be something you want to do. But early on, I mean, I even know that. Well, there's one thing specifically that they said. Like, I've been picking up white items here. They said that they don't want us to, especially in the later difficulties. Like, it's supposed to be so not worth your time to pick it up because it's supposed to be selling for so little gold that it's not something you even want to bother doing. Like,
see, I think that's a problem. Like, at this level, you would think white items would have some value, at least to NPC them, but you.
Well, I think now they do. Like, I pick them up for gold every time a beta, the beta gets refreshed and all of our characters.
If you find one, pick it up. It's like worth 2 to 4 gold. It's actually not worth your time to pick it up, and it kind of gets in the way of everything you want to pick up. So I hope.
Gold. Wow.
Yeah, I hope that they either increase that in higher difficulty or just in general, because I don't know. That seems kind of strange to me. That they would even be in the game,
Well, they want it, from what I understand, like the idea behind it is just the whole confetti thing. Like they want you to be like, oh look, it's there's a giant loot explosion. Most of this stuff is crap,
but at the same time, that's kind of what their philosophy was, to get rid of stuff that you don't want cluttering your inventory, like scrolls of identity and all that stuff that used to drop. Yeah. So, I don't know, it's kind of a mixed signal there.
Yeah. I mean, the effect of the excitement, it adds to the effect of finding a rare item, though, I would say. Like, it adds to the excitement. When a rare item does eventually drop, you're like, ooh, Because you're so used to seeing all this junk drop all the time, it's kind of what you expect by default. But, I mean, I know you said it adds to the clutter thing that they're trying to get rid of, but I guess that's why they've said they really don't want us picking up those items. They just want it. Damn it! I picked it up again. I do it by accident too, because I'll be clicking.
Like, that's the thing about these items. They get in your inventory and you don't want them there. And so it's
I didn't mean to pick it up, but I did because I was trying to punch that guy in the face. It's true. No, you're absolutely right. It is 100% true, and I just it's such a habit too. It's such a
I just want to pick everything up, and then because it's it dropped for you, you should want to sell it.
Ooh, look at this! Teleporting unburied are frightening, because unburied are frightening by themselves.
Have you noticed too that currently we only have teleporter, knockback, and horrify? I believe?
Yes, the horrify.
Nightmarish.
The Waller's in that randomized area.
Yeah, I saw that video. I was like, where did this? I never saw this, so I was kind of surprised.
It's only in that randomized little cave thing, where you'll find the oh gosh, what are those things called that belch out the bats? Those big giant bat things, those disgusting looking, terrible, whatever. Well, whatever they're called.
It's also it's not always there.
No,
so
yeah, that's the thing. It's like it'll be a chance for you to even find that area, and then it'll be a chance for that guy to be even in there. But if he is, you can get those Wallers. I did like 10 run-throughs, and I hadn't found anything, so it just never ended up rolling for me. I never ended up getting that event, and it was a bummer because I wanted to make a video about it, but I literally could not. I was like, alright, I spent way too many hours already, and this hasn't come through yet, so. So what can you do?
Speaking of loot, by the way, how do you feel about gold being only on your screen? Because I feel like gold should be party-wide, just so you don't have to run over and pick up every little piece of gold. Like, do you find it annoying to like someone in your 4-man party could just open a barrel or whatever and a nice
feel like you have to go pick it up.
Yeah, you have to go pick it up. So it stops you from the combat a little bit. I don't know. It's just kind of a.
That is interesting. That I wonder. I feel like they could make that a separate system. Like, you pick up gold.
Like the health. the health globes.
Right,
They drop for the party.
Pick it up, it's shared amongst your party. And yeah, I guess, I mean, that's even happened in this run through. Like, you killed something and a piece of gold dropped. You're like, alright, gotta go get that.
Yeah.
Have no choice. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess I'd say I'm indifferent. Which is a non-answer, so I apologize. I am a huge fan of Blinding Flash. If that works fully in PvP, that'll be like, I think all the CCs in this game though feel like they'd be crazy powerful in PvP.
I think so too, which is why I think they're gonna just specifically tune them down whenever you go into arenas and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like
There's just too much control.
Yeah. See, this is the thing, man, with this ruined ability. The monk will stay on your ass the entire time. Especially, I mean, you could even, I don't think it's necessary, but you could even throw Dashing Strike into your rotation to make it even more the case. Oh, that's actually a leather hood that I don't have a headpiece right now, so let me throw that on.
Yeah, I actually prefer the dashing effect from the actual Dashing Strike skill more than the ruined effect.
Visually or just in general?
Both. Like, I feel like this gold won't pick up for some reason. That's weird. Oh, there we go. Okay. I just feel like visually it tells the teleport better than the just jump to the target. It just looks better. Yeah. And then also the fact that you go behind the enemy is a difference.
Yeah.
Dashing Strike, which I like.
That's true too. Because that'll definitely throw, like, it doesn't throw AI off. AI figures it out right away, but that'll throw real players off a lot of times.
Yeah.
Alright. Level 8.
My name is Lockdown, and I'm cursed. Once the captain of King Leoric's army, I left only to honor.
This is a really cool thing too that I really like. You know, you look at like story implementation in Diablo 2, where you'll come up to these special events or areas. You'll find this item, and you'll have this text there, and you'll kind of have to sit there and read through it. There was voiceover to it as well, but here you just have an audio playing for you in the lower right corner, and you have the option. There is a not gonna be able to find it now.
Press J, I think, is what you're looking for.
There it is, yeah. So there's an option to go back and read through these things that you discover, but it's not when you first find it. It'll just be an audio file that's played for you.
There's actually more than originally get played that you can check out. Like all the monsters and stuff have their own.
Yeah. And you can re-listen to them as well.
May seem slow and senseless, but
it's pretty awesome. I like the active story involvement rather than me having to sit back and watch a cutscene.
If you remember, so like there was like the really old Barb video where he went up to Deckard Cain, and then there was like the cutscene that would open up.
Yes.
And then yeah, you remember that? Like that was how they used to do it, and then they switched over to the more like BioShock style.
And like that felt like they were trying to stick with that old system where you found something. It's like, all right, chill out here and listen to the story. I guess the danger, I don't know if it's not really a danger, but I guess the only downside to that is a lot of players will skip the story or just not even listen to it. So if they're, you know, they've obviously spent a lot of time on the story and they want people to know about it and listen to it. I have to be honest, that's not something that I'm going to focus on. Like, if my first run through, especially is with friends, I won't be paying attention to the story. Maybe maybe like in an alt or something I will, but...
Those little, like, audio clips are, like, they're not really essential to the story so much as they are just, like, neat little lore things.
Yeah. I suppose
all the important stuff is like cutscenes and whatnot.
I guess it's a lot of like back information too, like the whole Lockdown arc about how, you know, the Skeleton King, King Lorik, became corrupt, Lockdown was the king of his army, and they tell that whole story. But that's more backstory than it is like what's happening in Diablo 3. So I guess you're right.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't know if you saw, but I redid a PvP commentary video. Did you happen to get a look at that?
I did. I was curious, like, what made you redo it, or like, what was the difference between the original?
Well, I redid it because I know. Well, my last one was literally 1 year ago, and so I know a lot of. Let's let him run, can we? I want to show people the portal, so we'll just hit him a couple of times and let him run, and then he'll eventually summon a portal. I wanted to, you know, a video being a year old when people first like hear about. So there you go. He like brings up a portal, and he'll jump through it if we don't kill him. And I think what's going to happen is there's a possibility that we might be able to go into that portal. Come retail. Maybe it's like a given situation like Jaded was saying. Maybe you'll have to have a special follower or something.
What if it was like a gamble though? Like you could wait and get possibly into the portal, or like it would be open?
Wouldn't be open, yeah.
That'd be an interesting way to do that.
That's a good idea too, because it's either, all right, do I guarantee that I get okay loot, or do I have the chance of getting like amazing loot in this special dungeon? I mean, you got to figure wherever that guy's going, there's a shit ton of stuff there, you know. So back to the PvP video, I wanted to redo that because it was really old, and I guarantee that a lot of people hadn't seen it before. I mean, the video got like 50,000 views, so there's definitely a lot of people who hadn't seen it before. But the other thing too is I think that although the PvP system is different now, much different than the way it used to be, that video is quite a bit old. That's a video that came at the end of the Demon Hunter footage that came out. That I think I wanted to give people a sense of kind of how competitive PvP could look, in a sense, you know. And although it's not like geared for Blizzard, I know that I'm still going to be doing something along those lines. I don't know if it's going to be straight up commentary like that, like I do for StarCraft and stuff. If nothing else, I could be recording arena matches and also having the people I play with record their point of view, and then maybe have a more strategy focused discussion of like, all right, this is the match, these were our builds, this is the kind of the tactics we implemented, this is how we handled the team, you know, stuff like that. But I really like the idea of competitive arena, and I think I just wanted to kind of plant that seed for people. I don't know if me making that video probably made Blizzard angry. They're like, we don't. We're not going to support this. Don't get people behind it. But
well, there are people behind it regardless. I have always wanted the PvP side of things to be more structured, but you know, they veered away from that, and that's fine too. Hopefully, maybe later down the road, it becomes more structured.
I think that's something too that's really important to keep in mind, is that one of the big hang-ups when it comes to having structured PvP is whether or not you're going to balance it. And they've said that this is one of the major reasons why they aren't looking to have competitive PvP, because they will feel the need to have it balanced, because people won't accept anything less than a balanced PvP system if it's going to be competitive. There'll be way too much rage.
Which, by the way, doesn't exist in any game ever. But
there's always tweakings and imbalances, you're right. I guess with the exception of FPS, where everyone's the same.
Everyone's the same.
If you haven't, if you're trying to have competitive RPGs where you've got characters and specs and different abilities, it's pretty near impossible, you're right.
It would have to be a mirror match, and that would be extremely boring.
They always are. That's right. Let me see if this is a good upgrade for me. But to amend that statement, I do want to say that one of the big things that was making it besides gear's obviously an issue. That could be answered though by having arena-specific gear or arena-tailored gear that you only get through the arena. But besides that, the fact that they've changed the runestone system to skill runes, so there's no longer, it used to be, you know, there were 7 levels of every different rune, so there were 7 different possible levels for every rune effect for every skill. With, you know, I mean, that was so much to balance. But now that there's only one rune type, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
for each, there's not like 7 levels of each of the rune effects. I think that with that change, it will make it much easier to balance if they ever decide to make that a priority.
For sure, for sure. I think the biggest reason it would be imbalanced is the gear difference.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be the biggest deciding factor for the most part.
But I mean, like I said, if they had arena-specific gear or arena-only gear, that could be remedied, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like you spoke earlier, I forget when you said this, but you said something about like doing a tournament-style server where it's just kind of like the WoW tournament-style server where you just have specifically pre-made characters.
Okay, what was that? Were you saying something?
Yeah.
That was. I'm sorry. I had to. My girlfriend locked herself out of the house like a super smart person. I had to let her in. I was like, all right, Jaded's talking. I'll just let him talk.
Well, I was talking about when you mentioned a like PvP specific server where you would go on and there's pre-made characters.
Yeah.
So, like there was no gear difference, and I think there's an interest in that for people for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think that that's kind of how they would have to do it if they wanted to make it competitive. But they don't. I don't even feel like they have to. I know they say that they do because they'll say that if we try to gear it towards competition, that people will demand balance. But even if it wasn't crazy balance, even if they didn't spend a lot of effort on it, if they just had the structure in place, like a replay system, and if they had they had like a ladder system, which they don't have, you're not going to know your rank in PvP as it stands.
That's actually the only thing I would want them to do, which I'm pretty sure they're not going to, but is to have a replay system. Because as someone who makes videos or is interested in analyzing PvP, that's a big aspect to like the type of content we as YouTubers or the community get to make.
I guess the problem is
all
though,
based on that.
that we're like such a small, you know, that we are not most players. Most players don't care. The only players that ever care to analyze are competitive players, and if the game's not competitive, then the only people who want replays are like us, like streamers and YouTubers, you know?
Well, even look at League of Legends, for example. They don't even have a replay system. There's just some guy who made a program for the game.
Right.
And like so many people use it because it's such a powerful tool, and people send in their replays to like top 5 plays type of deal,
right,
where they can get shown, and I think the community really backs stuff like that, where it'd be like in their best interest to implement the replay system.
My plan, honestly, is to have a thing where if people want to send me recordings of their games, I'll do commentary for it or videos based off of it. I think that could be a possibility. Something I've also considered too, like I mentioned, is if you have like if it's possible to have arranged games, like, you know, a custom game system where you can pick the team you play against or have them join, having everyone on both sides record. You know, you set up a game where everyone can record, and then you can do a video based off of those recordings and based off of that footage. I think people would really like that too, especially.
I think you can do that. I think you could do that, but the biggest issue you run in there is not everybody has the technical capabilities. Yeah, the computer and like the knowledge to do the software, all that.
Right. No, that's definitely true. That's where like, and maybe we'll see something like League of Legends has. Maybe there'll be a community-driven program that allows us to basically replay the arena PvP. You know.
If there is, I hope it's way better than that one, because that one's pretty bad.
Funny.
Dismayed. This place is a backwater.
But you know what? It's fine, and I'm not even super concerned. As much as I would like the PvP to be there for release, I'll be more than happy to grind up gear for a few months. You know, I think that'll be quite all right. Here we are at the Skeleton King.
Never defeat me.
Need to chill out.
I actually think all the cutscenes for the Skeleton King are like done really well for what they're working with in game.
Yeah. I don't know, people complain so much about the visuals, but I'm okay with it.
My biggest problem is when you're looking at your character's
Wow, my
zoomed in.
banner's shitty. I didn't customize it.
I must wait to use.
It's got a cooldown too, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest problem is when you zoom in to the character, it doesn't look impressive.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a big deal for me.
And the thing is, when you play the game, it's not played that way.
Yeah, that's
it'd be kind of stupid to play this way. You'd be really, limiting your vision and what you could see. So I guess, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they obviously designed this game artistically with that in mind, that people would be viewing it far away. Majority of the time. I'm not trying to use that as an excuse. I'm like, oh, it's okay that it looks not amazing, but we have to.
The one cool thing that they could do is, the way you view your character like outside of the game and your like profile and all that.
Yeah.
And like you could rotate your character around. If they did like a sort of StarCraft-esque type of model, like with StarCraft they had really low detailed units, so they couldn't really use them in cutscenes, so they made their own like high-res art assets. It'd be cool if they took like every class and did some like high-res art assets for that, just to see your character in like the full glory,
Yeah, that would be really awesome, actually. I would enjoy seeing that. He's got monstrous amounts of HP.
There is also a resurrection system, if you didn't know. For people that if they don't know, when you die, you can have a friend run over and resurrect you.
Do you want to just die so we can show that?
Sure.
Alright, let's pull back. Alright, so Jaded's not dying because he's bad. He's dying because we were setting this up. Let's make that known.
Yes.
A known quantity.
I'm not terrible.
Oh man, you're so bad, Jaded. Alright, so he's dying now, and I can run. Oh, that was a bad time to run over. I can run over and res him. There it is.
Nope. And as far as I know, there's not going to be any penalties other than you lose durability. Is that right?
Yes, and that's a gold sink because you have to,
Unless you're in hardcore, then you're dead.
Then you're dead. And we got some great items. I got some stupid ass light crossbow, which does me no good. Also leveled up, I guess, which is awesome. And I'll identify that item in town. And let me think before we go. I know we're done the beta, but I want to see. I'll show people the auction house. Is there anything else that we should be showing people? I don't even know. I think that's pretty much.
At level 10, you get passives.
Right.
That's the only real thing that we can't show because we're level 9. But
right. Yeah, on level 10 you will unlock passives, and if you want to look at the passives, you can head on over to Diablo3.com. All right, so identifying items now no longer requires a scroll or anything. You just have to right-click on it, and then I got that thing, which is stupid. I don't even know. I don't have a demon hunter. I guess I'll go play one. Some point.
Or you could sell it on the auction house.
Oh, let's do that, huh? That sounds great. All right. A new skill slot available as well. Picked up Dashing Strike. Now look, are you in here? Are you in the game? All right, ready? I want you to look at this. Tell me if it looks like change is falling out of my pocket. Do you see that?
Oh, it's like leaves.
Ah, I thought it was change. It sounds like change. Listen.
Yeah, it is a bit.
Maybe I'm losing. Imagine if you lost gold every time you did Dashing Strike. Oh, that's awful. That'd be terrible. So it is. What time is it? Do we even know? I want to see. We're so close to the official launch of the open beta. People must be excited.
When does it launch exactly? Is it in like
12
20
Pacific? So that's 3 Eastern time for me. And all right, so let me show people the auction house here, which you guys will have access to in about an hour and a half. Auction house right here. Tabs on the top, search, sell, auctions, and completed. So that'll show you current auctions, completed auction. Oh boy. All right, now, this is how it's gonna work. It's split up by tabs. into what you want to search for or what you want to sell. Gold, pages, and recipes, which really aren't of use now, but they will be of use in the future once we get out of the beta and actually acquire pages and recipes. Then there's crafting items and dyes, gems, which again, nothing that's really useful now, and then lastly, equipment. So you're able to actually go through and search for the specific characters that you have. So right now I've got a barbarian and a monk. And if I had additional characters, it would tell me which ones. And that's like a smart search system. It'll look for things that are relevant to your character. So if I'm searching specifically for my monk, I won't be getting wizard wands with, you know, plus intellect on it. That just won't show up for me. There's also a whole, you know, filtration system, searching by level range, searching by rarity. You can search by specific stats as well. I mean, this is pretty robust, to be honest with you, and this is necessary because of the randomization. It is really nice. Yeah, but I mean, like with all the randomization in this game, if they didn't have this, it would be a headache looking through the auction house because there's so many possible stats that are so varied, you know. Now, when you sell an item, you're actually going to be brought up immediately to your current character. And you can pick from your stash, which is shared between characters. You'll notice the stash between my barbarian and my monk, that's the same. But the personal inventory will be different. So I can sell stuff either from my personal inventory or from my shared stash. And let me sell this rare crossbow here.
You can't actually move any items either. Like, it might seem like you could, you know, manipulate your inventory, but you can only just sell what's available.
Right. All right, so you're going to have the option to deposit your funds in a specific area. You also notice there's a transaction fee of $1.25. Now that'll be, like currently it's 125 beta bucks. You start off with 50 beta bucks. And there's also the difference between the gold and the real money auction house. So I just switched to the gold auction house. And that tab is right up in the other right. It says XTS right now though, instead of...
That is strange.
Yeah, I
didn't
know.
used to say that.
So in the gold auction house, there's a 15% transaction fee, but with the real money auction house, it is $1.25. All right, so I'm gonna switch to the gold one, I guess, and I'm gonna sell it here. And then you can do, all right, how much gold do you want to sell it for? And that's the buyout price, starting price, and then the buyout price. Let me do the buyout price. It's like, I don't know, a couple thousand. Do it for 3,000. It is a legendary after all, or rare rather. And then there'll be a 15% transaction fee. So once that is sold, I'll have to take that transaction fee. And then there we go. The auction has been created. And then I can also now switch to the gold. Oh wait, I was just in the gold auction house. Let me switch to the real money auction house. Let me sell something for my barbarian. Let me sell this dagger here. And then, all right, so how much money do you want from this? So the starting price will be $1.25, and I want $5 for this dagger. So I'll put $5, and then now what will happen too is that you'll have the option to, once an item is sold, you can either choose, do I want this to go into my Battle.net account balance, or there will be an option to have it actually enter your PayPal account, to have it withdrawn to your PayPal account, at which point you could take your PayPal money and bring that to your real bank. Which there is actually probably going to be a PayPal transaction fee as well, because I'm pretty sure PayPal, with incoming transactions, they take a fee, you know. I don't know if you have used PayPal in the past, Jaded, but that's how it typically works.
Yeah.
For me, so I'm assuming that that's what's going to end up happening there as well. So, and now once you create an auction, you do actually have a little bit of time to cancel off that auction, although this isn't showing up right here right now, oddly enough. But yeah, that's the auction house. I don't know why it's not showing. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I can cancel this within 5 minutes. If you don't cancel it, then it's there for 2 days. That's that. You don't really have a choice.
I like how they put like a buffer on the second you put something up for sale. There's a 5-minute countdown timer of like a grace period that you can take it off.
Right.
So you can't take it off after that. So no one's gonna remove if you bid on something, which is really nice. And as well, like it's not gonna show up for other people until that 5 minutes is over. So if you drunkenly put a bad number, then you could take it off.
Although I don't know if you're drunk, if you'll figure that out within 5 minutes or not, but...
Yeah, that's true.
That's really funny. All right, well, you know what? I guess that's going to do it. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this special live stream edition of the open beta celebration. I definitely want to thank Jaded as well. And Jaded, actually, why don't you use this opportunity to plug yourself a little bit, tell people a little bit about you. You were on Diablo podcast last week, and you're probably going to be on it in the future as well. You plan to be there today, right? I think.
Yeah, I'll be on, and sure, I'll take this time. So I have a channel on YouTube called It's Jaded, and currently I only have like 4-ish new videos, but I'm going over every class in depth, giving like a really straightforward, as short as I can make it, but still having like, you know, some discussion there and opinions on every class, so you can get a rundown if you're not in the beta. Of course, everyone's gonna be checking it out this weekend. But yeah, I still got the wizard to do, and then I'll have all the classes up, and I think I'll do one more after that, just sort of going over the game as a whole.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool too. You know, I'll also be interested to see, now that the beta is opening up, how many, you know, other community members decide to start producing content and throwing it up on YouTube. I'll be interested to see kind of what comes out of that, because there could be some like really good content producers out there who can make like really high quality videos, and they just haven't been able to get in the beta yet to, I guess, show their talents. So this is a great, you know, a great chance for everyone to check it out, and then also just to try out the game. Another thing too is a lot of people have said, hey, I don't know if this is going to run if the game's going to run on my system. And although there are websites where you can check that to see if the minimum specs are met by your system, to actually have the physical game and to be able to try it out and see how it functions, this is a good chance for that. And then also just like a mini demo to see if people are interested, because it's hard for like me and you to believe it, but there's people who are on the fence about Diablo 3. And this will be good for those people, I believe. So
yeah, I actually have a lot of friends who play MMOs that don't think the Diablo formula works anymore, and you know, they're curious about it, but they're not like really excited because they think it's outdated or whatever.
Yeah,
they're stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's really exciting, and hopefully you guys do enjoy your weekend. I also want to let you know that we're still doing Diablo Cast. This will actually be happening in an hour and 15 minutes, so we're not that far away. We'll be doing it at 3 p.m. EST, which is the same time that the open beta begins. So you can still listen to Diablo Cast if you're interested while you're playing through the beta, or it will be available to listen to later on as it'll be uploaded on the channel. So if you don't get to catch it live, you can still listen to it later, maybe after your first playthrough or whatever. It doesn't matter. I hope you listen though. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this live stream. Once again, thank you to Jaded, and I'll see you in a bit for Diablo Cast. Take it easy, guys.
See you guys.
Alright, I think